Let's speak now to Emma Roddick, who is the SNP MSP for the Highlands and Islands. Emma, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Great to be on.
Great to speak to you. Lots to consider then today. I just wonder, first of all, for an initial reaction to the idea of Stephen Flynn potentially being a Holyrood colleague of yours in a couple of years' time.
Well, I've nothing particularly against Stephen being an MSP colleague, and one of the beauties of being in a democratic party is we don't have automatic reselections for anyone, so it's absolutely fine to be challenging incumbents. And I know that in this case, Audrey Nichols already said, she welcomes the opportunity to have a contest and explain her position and why she should be re-elected.
Does it feel odd that there's this kind of, friction caused by people eager to be in Holyrood, sure, but also it does sort of create headaches within the party?
Yeah, I suppose that's a nice way to think about it, isn't it? There's so many people want to be in our national parliament. But yes, I suppose it's the way you
sound cynical,
it,
Emma. You sound sceptical of the way I've put it.
No,
if I may be so bold.
No, I mean that. That's really good that people do want to be here. But it's the way that folk go about it, and the approach that you make and how respectful you are of colleagues and the role itself, I think.
So this is perhaps getting at what you posted on X, which was, to paraphrase or to shorten it, can't imagine spending half my time in London and being a good MSP. And then we'll go on to the second part of this. Key that rules apply to everyone equally, men and women, in a moment. So first of all, the gist of what you're saying there is for somebody, in this case, Stephen Flynn is the person who's brought this issue to the fore, to serve, it would actually be difficult, in your view, to serve in both parliaments. Is that fair characterisation?
Yeah, absolutely. My region covers Murray, so I've watched as Douglas Ross has managed to do both jobs badly, which I don't think is particularly in itself a reflection on Douglas Ross. It's a reflection of the fact that these are both full-time, very difficult and demanding roles, and the people who put you in either position deserve to know that you are focused on them and raising the issues that they're bringing to you as their MSP or MP.
Is it fair to announce your candidacy to be an MSP and make a decision on which parliament you serve in after the election process? For example, could you theoretically run for both and then announce your resignation from one? I'm trying to understand what the rules should be in your view.
I think you would have to step down from one. You cannot, I think, serve with a straight face if you have made clear to your constituents one way or the other that this role is your second choice.
It's interesting that, and I suppose part of what you posted as well is about the rules. And of course, there was a notable rule change a few years ago, which Joanna Cherry has been quite open today, even about saying that rule change was designed to stop her running against Angus Robertson in an Edinburgh seat to be an MSP. Is that what you're referencing in your tweet as well? That rule change from a few years ago?
Not specifically. I think there are wider issues around. We saw this last time with the gender mechanisms. People stepping down were expected to notify in advance so that equalities mechanisms could be put in place, and some men chose not to do that, and that seemed to be okay, but women had a harder time of it. And I think it's troubling to me that that it could be even put about or apparently assumed by Stephen Flynn that the rules will change for him. I was supportive of those rules for the reasons that I'm laying out today. I think that is the right way to go about it. It's cheaper to hold a by-election at the same time as another election, and this seems a sensible way of ensuring that SNP representatives are serving the communities that they've been elected to serve. But it has to be consistent, and I think there's precedent now. It's precedent for something that I think is straightforward, something that my party's criticised other parties for doing in recent years with two jobs, and I think it would be indefensible really to change it for this election.
Is it hypocritical?
Of course it would be hypocritical, yeah.
Just explain a little bit more, if you would, about the gender rules, because for those of us who are maybe not as familiar with the intricacies of SNP selection rules, what are you referencing there, and what were those rules changes when it came to sort of notification in the interests of equality?
Yeah, the party last time around decided to put women-only shortlists in a number of seats to try and ensure gender balance in the MSP group. Measures which were successful in achieving that aim. We've got just slightly over 50% women at this stage, so it's about as down the middle as you could possibly get with the numbers that we've got. And that relied on incumbent MSPs letting the party know that they weren't planning to stand, so that those seats could be designated women only or otherwise. And there were certainly games, as there always are, but I just feel that we have to be consistent in how rules are applied and how expectations and standards are applied.
So, to be clear, you think the rules should remain as they are fine, they are robust, they are competent. It is the way the candidates or potential candidates are using or reimagining the rules that you have an issue with.
Yeah, I mean, I wish that Stephen Flynn had gone about this another way, perhaps looked to make whatever argument he's wanting to put across about the rules that were in place last time within the party, rather than announcing to all of us that he intended to break them, or certainly hoped that they wouldn't be in place this time around.
Is this a difficult chapter then for the SNP? It's a difficult thing, even Joanna Cherry today has posted it'd be good for Holyrood to have some new blood, I think is the phrase she used. Certainly some new people, some fresh faces around as far as the SNP is concerned. And if not getting them, those new faces from former MPs, or for those who are looking to make something of a move to Holyrood, does the SNP have a system in place to find new candidates? Actually, how broad an option does the SNP have?
We have new faces every single time there's an election here. I'm not sure that I would necessarily categorise recent or current MPs as new blood, but certainly there are folk that I hope will be challenging for seats in Holyrood. I think where there is talent, we have to hope that they'll continue to give their services to the party and to the public. But I don't think there should be any concern within the party that we're not good at finding new people. We have new folk every single session here, and a lot of them have done excellent things and really contributed to a breadth of knowledge and policy making in the party.
So where does this leave the SNP, do you think? Is it likely that the rule is going to be changed so that Stephen Flynn can stand and have dual mandates, as it's often referred to?
I personally think that would be a mistake, and I hope that the party chooses to be consistent. But at the end of the day, we have democratic processes within the SNP for a reason. I hope that they're allowed to do their job. I personally don't like it when folk try to control those democratic processes via press announcements, but it will ultimately be up to internal party processes to make a decision on this. My personal opinion's been made clear.
Yeah, and as you say, there's a risk of hypocrisy should he end up having both roles, basically.
I think so, yeah.
A final question, if I may. Would he be a good leader of the SNP?
Again, that's up to the membership. I think every time there's been leadership contests and deputy leadership contests while I've been in the party, I've been surprised by some candidates and what they come out with in hustings. So I would always try to approach that kind of thing with an open mind and listen to everyone who's on the slate of candidates. At the moment, I don't know what that ballot is going to look like.
Fair enough. Emma, thank you very much. Really appreciate you speaking to us. Thank you.
Of course. Cheers.